make video first. I make video first. Then feed Nelly.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me no more. What is love? Love is kindness. Love is caring. Love is understanding. Love is forgiving. Love is looking at the person in front of you and accepting who they are, all aspects of them, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Love isn't conditional, and this is what a rose quartz stone teaches us. It teaches us about unconditional love, and that is unconditional love to the self and unconditional love for others. And when I say unconditional, I don't mean like putting up with nonsense endlessly and forever, because that's where boundaries come into play. So boundaries are sort of setting up what is acceptable to you and what is not acceptable to you. But this all falls under the umbrella of unconditional love. So the difference between unconditional and conditional love is that unconditional love is just always being present within your heart space and trying as best as you can to connect to someone else's heart space, whereas conditional love is generally always being closed in your heart space unless certain conditions are met, and then in that case you will demonstrate love and affection or whatever it is that's required of you, or whatever you feel like you want to give to that person. So that's conditional. Love is very giving, and love also takes. And what's really important to overstand is that within your heart space, you have the two energies. You have the energy of giving and also the energy of receiving. And so love is not complete if you're just a giver. I mean, we all understand how takers, you don't consider them to be loving people because all they do is take. They don't actually give anything. But if you're a giving person and all you do is give, and you don't know how to receive, or you don't accept love that's given to you, you find a way to like minimize it, or if someone says something nice to you, you'll shake it off like, oh no, that's not me, or whatever. Like, you won't even accept a compliment, at the very least. That's a blockage in your heart space. So love is not complete if you can't receive as well. So love is to give, and love is also to receive. Love is growth, and that works two ways as well. That is to allow yourself to grow, allow yourself to become bigger, brighter, better. And also the other way is to allow the other person to grow, to become more spiritually aware, to be a better version of themselves, to do well career-wise, to do well with their hobbies, with their interests, with their friends. So love is not restrictive. Love doesn't tell you what you can and can't do. Love encourages you to do what you like to do and what you enjoy doing. Oh my god, I have zero flow today, like zero flow. Oh, you know what? Let me tell you a little anecdote. I was at the beach 2 days ago. 2 days ago? Yeah, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, with my sister and my nephew, and he's 3.5. And we were in the water. Like, it was a little bit wavy because it was kind of windy, so there were like medium waves. And he's really brave, and he really wanted to go in. So I carried him at this level, so that when the waves came, they would just hit his feet. And if the waves were a little bit like higher, then I'd like lift him up whenever the waves would come, so it wouldn't be too intense for him. And he had so much fun, and we did that for hours. It was a workout and a half. I feel like I have a right bicep now. And like halfway through, he said the nicest thing to me. His favorite characters are the Avengers, and he said to me, and he calls me Boo Boo, and he said, Boo Boo, you're Iron Man. And I said, oh my gosh, thank you. And he said, Iron Man can stop waves. You're Iron Man. And that was just the loveliest thing that I've ever heard. And you know, if I never receive another compliment again, that is the greatest honor to bestow upon a man. I mean, it was just fantastic. And so, you know, love is two ways. Like for me, I was so happy to, like, you know, lift him up and down, you know, even though it's a lot of work, but I was so happy to do that. And for him, because he's little, you know, and one day he'll be big, he'll be like 6 foot whatever, and I don't think going to the beach with his auntie is going to be his most favorite thing to do. But you know, today, on that day, you know, I was his like favorite person and I was Iron Man, and that's love, right? Love is appreciation. It's to say what someone means to you, and you know, for what reason, the why, the who, what, the where, and the how. Just to say it there and then, not to save it, to hold on to, you know, how you feel. Just tell them, just say like there and then, like, I'm so happy today. I'm so happy that I met you. I'm so happy that you helped me with this. It's wonderful that you do these things for me, or whatever. Love is appreciation, and like whether you're male or female, we all like to know that we're appreciated. And even like routine things or things that people are you know, supposed to do, because honestly nobody's really supposed to do anything. You know, if you have your set roles in whatever relationship it is, and you agree that this person does these things and that person does those things, it still doesn't hurt to just say thanks for those agreed terms and conditions. Like, even though you agreed to these things and there's something that you happily do, it's not like there's a problem or anything, but it's still nice to just add that, just that extra little bit like seasoning on the top, and just say thanks, you know. Love is to acknowledge the person before you, to acknowledge them as they are, as they come, as they were, as they will be. It's just to acknowledge the person before you, look them in the eye, smile in their face. That's loving behavior. Love is to be aware of love languages. I might need to Google this again. I think there are 4. There are 4. No, there's definitely more than that, but I'll Google it. Let me just Google it. Okay, so I Googled that. There's 5. So the thing that I just talked about, telling somebody that you appreciate them, that's part of words of affirmation. So words of affirmation are when you say reassuring things to someone, or, you know, positive or appreciative things to someone. And the opposite of that is to withhold that sort of communication. So it's to, let's say, you know, someone did something nice for you that day. Somebody who is attentive to, you know, the needs of the other person would acknowledge that verbally. They would say thank you for doing the thing. And it sounds like something that you would just know how to do automatically, but for some of us, you may have grown up in a household where people just do things for other people, just as a way of being, and nobody really expects a thank you. And even if you were to give a thank you, they'd just go, you know, I would do it anyway. I don't need to hear thank you. And that is because words of affirmation aren't their love language, where so it's not important to them, you know what I mean, to hear those words. Whereas for others, it is important to hear those words. So it's important to know the difference. And so the other end of that exchange is acts of service. That's the second of the love languages. There are 5, and acts of service is just doing something for someone that you know that they need, or you know that they would like or appreciate, like cooking, making breakfast, making meals, or, you know, getting stuff done around the house. or, you know, if you know that someone's like struggling with some kind of work thing or school thing, or they're trying to learn something new and they're having trouble with it, so you just offer up your time to sit with them and help them with that. That's an act of service. And again, you know, if you're an acts of service person and, you know, you think, well, of course I would do that. It really doesn't apply to everyone, because it depends on how you grew up and what you learned to, you know, to give and to receive and to interpret as love. So for some people, you have to ask, you have to say, oh, could you do this for me? They wouldn't know to just do something for you. They might think that if they just turned up at your house and helped you with, you know, maybe if they knew you had like a gardening task or whatever, and they thought, oh, you know what, I'm free today, I'll just come and help, and they turned up and did that, they might think that that would be too imposing, or it would be, you know, uninvited, and it would, you know, they might think that that's actually rude to do that. Like, they wouldn't think that they should. They would believe that they'd be willing to do it, but they'd believe that you would have to invite them to do that. So for them, acts of service is not really a love language. It's more of, you know, they're happy to do it, but only if you ask. It's not something that they just sort of offer up without you asking. And then the three other kinds, there's gift giving and gift receiving. So this also, you've noticed a common theme with this video is that everything really works two ways. So for gift giving, you know, if you have a friend or a loved one or anybody who's constantly like picking up little things for you, or if they go to the supermarket, like they'll get you the hot sauce that you like, or if they're ordering stuff off of, you know, the internet, they'll order an extra one for you, or whatever it is, like that's their love language. So they show you that they care for you by buying you little things or big things. And what's important is that you acknowledge this this method of showing love by receiving the gift in a good way. Even if it's something that you didn't ask for, or maybe if you actually wanted something different and they, you know, didn't realize that or whatever. But it's important to just, you know, let go of what your expectations may have been or may have not been, and to just receive it in a loving way, because it was intended to be given to you in a loving way. So you should receive it in a loving way, and that's how they'll feel appreciated and loved. Like if you're like, wow! Sorry, Nelly. Sorry, that was loud. Just startled my cat. Sorry. If you're like very enthusiastic about getting something, even if it's a tiny little thing, like the person's gonna feel good about themselves. Whereas like if you consider, like, let's say someone gets you something really expensive, like a big thing, and you're just like, oh, thanks. Like, they're not gonna feel good about themselves, because how could they possibly, you know, they put in a lot of thought and, you know, effort into this thing, and then you know, you haven't received it very well. The fourth love language is physical touch, and so this is non-verbal and non-financial. So it's not something you have to like purchase, and it's not something you have to say, and it's not something that you have to think too much about, like, you know, thoughtfulness with like acts of service. Like if you're trying to think of, you know, what can I do, or that's going to be of service to someone, that's going to be useful to them. Physical touch is just if you're sitting next to someone, to hold their hand, to like graze their arm or whatever, like something that's physical, cuddling, kissing, just to maintain physical contact with someone who really values physical touch is very important. And conversely, to withhold physical touch from someone where physical touch is very important to them is really damaging, because it really makes them feel unloved. And so if you have like two partners who are like very different, let's say one grew up in a house where there was like lots of cuddling and kissing all the time, and another grew up in a house where seldom was a hug or kiss ever exchanged, they'll both grow up into to be two very different types of adults. And to couple up together, or even just to be in a friendship with someone like that, at first might seem a bit confusing. So for the person that's a bit more stoic and likes to keep, their personal space to themselves, they might think, oh, why has this person got their hand on my knee? Ew. And for the other person, like, they might be thinking, why has this person not got their hand on my knee? I mean, come on, this is so weird. We're sitting right next to each other. And physical touch also includes like eye contact. So like if you're like the type of person who watches, a TV show or a movie or whatever, and constantly like looks to the person next to you, like to laugh along with, or like if you're sad and you're like, that's sad, and you look to the person next to you and you want to see what their emotions are as well, or you just want to connect with them while you're also watching something. That's like part of the same thing. So, it's important to be observant of that. Like if someone's like looks at you, just look back at them. That's literally all you have to do. It ain't that hard. And so the final one, let me look this up again. So the final one is quality time. And quality time, for some people, it sounds very self-explanatory, and for others, it sounds like a pain in the ass. So what quality time means is that it doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. It doesn't have to be something that costs a lot of money. It doesn't have to be something that involves travel or, being away from your natural routine and environment. But what it does involve is one-on-one time with the person that you're dealing with. So let's say if you and your partner went to a few events, which were a few nights in a row, for the person who values one-on-one time, that wouldn't be sufficient. They'd feel like they hadn't gotten to spend any time with you, even though you were together 3 nights in a row, like doing an activity or whatever, but it wouldn't count to them because it wasn't just the two of you. And so this is something that's very important to observe in someone, and very important to understand when someone is trying to communicate this to you. Like if it seems to you like they're on your case, complaining that they never get to see you or talk to you or whatever, what they might actually be saying is that they haven't had quality time with you. And so quality time, and it doesn't even have to be that long, it doesn't have to be a whole day thing or a whole evening thing or a whole weekend morning thing. It just has to be like a quality 1 to 2 hours where you really are exchanging communication. You're looking each other in the eye. You're not distracted by your phone. You're not scrolling endlessly through Twitter or Instagram, and you're not taking calls. You're not in the middle of something, like you're not working but also trying to talk with someone, because that's not going to be registered as quality time to them. That's going to be registered as subpar, and it's going to feel very disappointing to them and very upsetting, because they'll feel like you just don't want to make time for them. And to you, you might think, well, I am making time for you, like I got work to do, but I'm still trying to talk to you here. But just accept that that's not sufficient for someone whose love language is quality time. If you want things to go smoothly with someone whose love language is quality time, you have to accept that, and you have to carve out very specific time for them where it's just the two of you. No matter what you're doing, it really doesn't matter what it is, whether you're physically doing something like going for a walk or going to the beach or whatever, or if you're just sitting in the same room in your own house. The point is that you have to be engaged together and undistracted, and it has to feel like there's nobody else that's more important to be talking to or whatever it is with this person at this time. And so those are the 5 love languages, which I googled for your convenience. You're welcome. And well, I feel like I really wanted to say a whole lot more in this. You know, I should start scripting these. I feel like the off the cuff thing, like it just doesn't work. Yeah, I should start scripting these things. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Much love to you, and I wish you a fantastic day. And let me leave you with this. If you are having trouble with letting go of something, or if you are having trouble attracting something into your life, say this. Say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And let that heart space energy flow out. Keep your heart open, let it flow out, and let the thing that you want come into your life, and let the thing that you really don't want in your life go. Have a wonderful day. And Nelly can get him food now.